Alrighty, Connie, thank you for briefly speaking with me this morning. I would love to know more in reference to your background. If you don't mind telling me a little bit about your work history, where you worked at prior, and we'll go from there.
Okay, well, my history was in human resources. I worked as a senior HR business partner. I've worked with companies such as Texas Instruments, Raytheon, Snyder Electric, Siemens, and FlowServe. And now I'm with you guys working temporary assignments. I spent 24 plus years in human resources. So now I wanted to venture out to temp assignments. Um, I relocated back to Orlando from the Dallas Fort Worth area. I'm actually from Orlando. My parents are there. They have gotten older, so it was time to come back home.
Absolutely. And you have extensive experience in the HR industry and it reflects in your work as well. So tell me a little bit more about your experience in the HR field. Have you done onboarding? Have you handled employee relations? Tell me a little bit about your day to day, if you don't mind.
Well, my day to day in HR, anyone that actually works in HR know that there's no real true day to day. But I handled all aspects, being in HR over 20 plus years. I started off as an HR benefit administrator. That was my gateway into human resources. And I worked my way up to senior HR business partner, where I partnered with the leaders. I have done talent reviews. I have done lots of employee relations. So many I cannot count them. As you can imagine, some of my areas was in manufacturing. And for some reason, manufacturing have lots of employee relation issues. I have investigated anywhere from same sex sexual harassment, you name it. I think I've investigated it. I've also was a part of decision maker with the leaders. Being that I was the HR person, I would sit in on some interviews, not all, but the more senior level position. I would also sit in on interviews with new managers or new supervisors because there are those no questions that you do not ask that they may not know. Also, I train supervisors to be stronger leaders. Um, you name it. I've done it. I've done it. Also, I've input data into the HR system, onboarding employees, offboarding employees. I have extensive experience in site of facility closures. Um, I have closed several facilities. Siemens, for instance, I don't know if you would call it a closer. We actually had a government contract with the TSA.
Okay.
And so, as you know, um, after 2, 3 years, you have to renew the contract. And our last renewal, we were not awarded the contract. TSA decided that they wanted to divide the contract into more smaller businesses. And so, therefore, we had to pretty much lay everyone off that worked in that actual division. I also supported with Siemens the State Department, and my duties with the State Department or the employees that I supported with the State Department would have been all of the U.S. embassies all over the world. These were electricians that would deploy out to these different countries to work on the security systems. So I was at Siemens shy of 3 months of 10 years. And so I worked literally every time zone because when you have these guys in the other countries, they still need HR.
Right.
And so you learn time management, you learn how to respond back to them. They obviously did not expect you to respond to them if it's midnight here. But I
Mm.
always make it a habit to respond. I do believe in open door policy, and I believe that an open door is not just a physical door that you walk through. With today's technology, you have telephones, you have text messages, you still have the door. And so, I supported with Siemens. I supported roughly around 700 plus employees at FlowServe, which would have been my last position in HR. That was an oil and gas company. I supported 5 facilities. So I was stationed in the Dallas Fort Worth area, but I also supported facilities in Houston. So I would make a trip to Houston once a month and also on an as needed basis to support my employees. So I do believe in heavy, high level customer service.
That's
The
amazing.
customers are, in my case in HR, the customers were the employees. So I am very attuned to employees and what they need, along with the managers. I do believe in them not calling me HR for calling me Connie. So on the in manufacturing, you can actually walk out on the floor and you can go out and kind of hang out with the guys. I would do things because a lot of times HR have a very bad reputation on, if you go to the HR office, there must be something wrong. So what I did, I spoke with the director of the facility and I said, we need to change that perception. I'm new here. I want to make sure that the employees understand that I'm here for them as well as for management. So, what we would do if we had a promotion or if we were going to just give an off cycle increase, we would call the employee up to my office and they would be all nervous when they walk in the door. And we would spring that big surprise on them and we would just make a big deal about it. And they walk back on the floor very happy. And
Wow.
obviously, we will let them know, although you're happy, this is still confidential because not
Mhm.
everyone is getting this. So, just building that strong relationship with my business leaders as well as with the employees. And the employees understood that there was a fine line that you just don't cross. Now,
Absolutely agree with you.
after doing that 20 plus years and now working with you guys and going on different assignments and working as a customer service representative, I love it. It's a nice transition because that's all HR is customer service. And I can honestly say that I have not worked with a client that did not request me to come back.
That is.
And so I just love it. I love it.
That is, like I mentioned, it seems as though you are a woman who has worn many hats at a point in time, very, very much skilled in what we're looking for. So I'm very excited to work with you, Connie. You mentioned onboarding. I want to go a little bit deeper into onboarding. What does
Okay.
the onboarding look like to you?
Onboarding look like to me? First of all, onboarding is an introduction to the company. And if you don't get your onboarding correct the first time, then that sort of put a bad taste in the employee's mouth. I mean, I'm just being honest, from doing surveys to better the onboarding, making sure that their first day, that if we can possibly do it, make sure their computers, their work areas set up, have a little something there to welcome them. The team is there, they're engaged in welcoming, making sure that their training is set up and it's not just something to waste their time for a few days. Just make sure that when they come in, onboarding to me should make them feel like they've always been there. And
Absolutely.
that takes work with the manager, HR, and the manager's manager actually, and the employees. They should know ahead of time XYZ is starting on XYZ date. We want to give them a warm welcome because we have all been the new person on the block. And it's nerve-wracking as a new employee. You're going in, you don't know anything, you don't know anyone, and just having that embrace for them the first day, I think is great by having their equipment uh, ready for them.
It's needed. I actually went through
Yes.
that as well, whereas my laptop came in, but then the systems weren't working on my first day. I'm like, what's going on? I came to work. So that experience is definitely one that remains in the candidate or employee's experience. So I completely agree with you with that. Connie, have you had to create or pull any reports at your previous companies that you have worked at? As far as payroll, if so, what systems have you utilized?
Payroll, no. The companies that I've worked for have all been Fortune 500. They're large, huge, massive companies, and so they would have their own payroll departments. So I never had to pull a payroll report unless you count it when we're looking at end of year, fiscal year, and we're looking at increases for everyone. And then there's a report that I can pull where I can see all of the employees' salaries.
That makes sense.
I've
Okay.
always had access to see, employees' paychecks. But as far as behind the scene payroll,
Okay.
no, because I was a true business partner. I really worked with management and I would rely on payroll to pull whatever I needed. Uh, if a director needed information that I did not have access to, I partner with payroll.
That makes perfect sense. Connie, tell me, what are you looking to get out of your next position?
Oh boy, I've had so much fun working and learning that there is life outside of human
Yes.
resources. So I don't limit myself, as long as my skill set line up with what, the client is looking for, I am willing and able to learn and grow. So I never limit myself. I never say never because it's a huge world out there. There's so much to learn, and it's refreshing when you learn a new skill.
Yes, I agree with that. Connie, do you have any upcoming time off that you're looking to take time off on? Any certain days? I know the holidays are coming up, so do you have any scheduled time off?
At this time, no, I do not have any scheduled time off. I am, however, we spoke briefly yesterday, and I am in Dallas right now with my son and family. I spent Thanksgiving here. So no, I do not have any upcoming plans of taking any time off unless it's an emergency and my fingers are crossed, nothing like that should happen.
That's right. And when are you able to start, Connie?
I am able to start anytime after the 11th of
Okay.
December.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, that sounds wonderful, Connie. Thank you for letting me know a little bit about your work history. I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll continue to speak. Alrighty? Just give me one moment here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.